Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Premier Rewards Google Hangout. We're at the Barclays headquarters in London, at Canary Wharf, just a very healthy tennis ball lob away from the O2 Arena, where they're playing the Barclays ATP World Tour Finals. My name's Barry Flatman. I'm tennis correspondent of the Sunday Times newspaper. And to my left, a gentleman that should need no introduction, the 1987 Wimbledon champion and all-round tennis legend, Pat Cash.
When people say I do not need any introduction, then you give me an introduction, that sort of confuses people, Barry.
Are you confused?
I'm confused already.
Okay.
Actual fact.
To confuse you more, Pat and I have been at the O2 all week. We've had a couple of sessions a day with Barclays customers in various lounges. We've had lots of interesting questions. We've had a few contentious questions. I hid under the chair once when Pat was taken to task about whether women tennis players should earn as much as men tennis players, and one gentleman took his life into his own hands and suggested to Pat that Australians just weren't very good at sport. I'd like to welcome our hangout guests, Mike, Liz and Richard, who have been kind enough to join us today. Give a wave, guys. Where are you? Are you there?
Yeah, there they are.
There he is.
Liz is in her bedroom there. Richard, where are you? You look like you're in prison. But,
so what have we seen this week? I think we've seen Novak Djokovic again underline the fact that he's the best tennis player in the world at the moment, and certainly the best player indoors. And as we speak, he's cruising his way to get another victory against Thomas Berdych.
We've got to check the score. We were in the first set 6-2 before he's popped in here.
Yeah. And then last night...
You guys are watching the TV. What's the score? Let us know.
The score.
You don't know on the TV? Somebody will let us know.
Last night, Roger Federer, I'm afraid, completely and utterly took Andy Murray apart, which wasn't good to see from a British perspective, but onwards and upwards. But we're not really here to discuss what we've been watching this week. We're here to discuss, we're here to go into a Masters discussion. Who's the greatest player ever? You've had that question a few times.
We've had it. It's been very interesting, yeah. It's a regular question, who's player that I've played against that I feel is the best player that I've ever played against, and of course who the greatest of all time. So we've got a Masters concept here, the ATP Finals concept. We've got two groups. Sorry, Barry, you're probably about to say that, but we're certainly going to throw our imagination around and have a healthy discussion about it.
And our friends from Barclays have been on the internet sourcing a lot of people's opinion, and we've come up, as Pat says, with these two groups. Now I'm going to.
We haven't seen yet, so you're going to just throw this at me, aren't you?
I'm going to do.
I begged them. I said, let us know. I get some ideas in my head.
I'm about to open the envelope.
They wouldn't let me know. They wouldn't let me know. I'm guessing Roger Federer is one of them.
You've got an envelope over there.
I do?
Yeah, right. Well, this is Group A anyway. This is the first group. So, first of all, we have the Iceman, Bjorn Borg. We have the Pistol, Pete Sampras. We have the Mighty Man of Mallorca, Rafa Nadal. And we have somebody very dear to my friend Mr. Cash's heart, somebody that he plays guitar with and sometimes fights across the tennis net.
Eddie Van Halen.
John McEnroe.
Oh, John McEnroe, yeah. That's a good group.
So who you got, Cash?
Well, surprise, surprise. We have one guy called Roger Federer. Don't know how he made the group. Ivan Lendl. The only man who's won the Grand Slam twice. Rocket Rod Laver. And Jimmy Connors. So that is a great group. We've actually seen a few of these guys play against each other. Of course, Federer wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. But let's have this is going to be interesting.
This is going to be interesting. Now let's get a few facts clear here. This isn't for real. But this is a hypothetical conversation.
Yeah.
But most crucially, we are talking about the tournament with these players playing on the court that is laid at the O2 this week for the Barclays World Tour Finals, which means that they are playing on a slow hard court, not clay, where that gentleman, Mr. Nadal, would clearly win everything hands down, and not grass, on which this gentleman, Mr. Laver, back in his day, they played 3 of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments on grass. So we're playing on a slow, hard court, not where the big servers aren't really in their element, and it's much more the mover, the athletes, the returners, the counter punchers, if you like.
Yeah, it's interesting. The surface makes a huge difference, and it's certainly a big advantage. Let's get that straight. A big advantage to the modern players, such as Federer. That's a huge advantage. If we were to say, okay, let's go indoors, but let's take it to any indoor surface. That's the indoor surfaces, of course, have varied over the years. Rocket Rod Laver was one of the first players really to go, in the first era of professionalism, second era probably of professionalism, where they played a lot of indoor tournaments. They played a lot of indoor venues. They played on like a carpet. They put out all sorts of courts. They played on boards. They played on just about anything. There was a touring show, and they went around and played all sorts of surfaces, mainly quick surfaces. So Laver himself was an absolute expert indoor courts. Then they had the carpet, the fast carpet, where this guy John McEnroe was just about unbeatable for many years. Pete Sampras, of course, then it became another type of carpet court where Sampras was dominated the ATP finals. Of course, those sort of courts suited Jimmy Connors as well, and not so much Bjorn Borg, but Bjorn Borg was definitely suited probably more by hard court. So it's right. I think just an initial look, I think Roger Federer has a fair old home court advantage, shall we say?
Let's talk about the first quarter-final then. Bjorn Borg versus Pete Sampras on a slow indoor court.
How do we get to the quarterfinal? So we're going the group. So they're all playing each other.
They're playing each other. Sorry.
So everybody's got to play everybody.
So who's going to come out top of this group on that slow indoor court? Bearing in mind movement, bearing in mind.
It's really interesting because McEnroe is definitely a fast indoor court player. I mean, he is. I've played John many times indoor courts, and that is the one surface that you say, okay, I can play John outside of hard court. I can play him on grass. I'll beat him on grass. I'll beat him on clay. I can beat him on hard court. You take McEnroe, you put him indoor on an indoor fast court, and you go, whoosh, he's a different player. This is a slow court. So he doesn't mind the indoor court, but this is slow, and it's, that's certainly going to help Borg, help the slower court. Having said that, Borg didn't win the US Open.
Didn't do much on hard courts, did he at all?
Didn't win the US Open.
On Wimbledon.
They were very
time
quick,
after time.
Very quick indoor. They're very quick. A US Open, very fast outdoor court. So we're talking about a slow indoor court, and I think that gives a huge advantage to Borg. Absolutely massive advantage to Borg. Having said that, Sampras, sometimes you don't even get a chance to touch the ball against Pete Sampras. He'll just hit winner after winner after winner. Nadal, of course, is a slow court expert. He's played almost his whole career on what I would call slow courts. And this is one of the things when we look at Nadal and the Nadal-Federer rivalry, particularly Nadal, and say, okay, he's been, obviously a clear, fantastic player. He's dominated Federer on the surfaces that have all been slow. Even the grass. I mean, grass is quite quick, but it's high bouncing grass courts, which have been a lot slower than my era, a lot slower than Sampras's era. On a faster court, if we had this tournament 15 years ago on an indoor carpet court, I would say Nadal wouldn't win. I don't think he'd win a match. I really don't think he'd win a match. But this is not on fast indoor courts. We're talking about hard courts. Rafa, is there anything he hasn't won, really, is a big indoor tournament. He hasn't won this championship. People talk about him being one of the greatest of all time, which on the clay, there's no doubts about how great he is. But they say he's never won a big indoor.
Well, he openly admits that playing indoors, coming into the darkness of a Northern European November day, and then going indoors, not knowing whether it's day or night, is not his favourite environment. Rafa likes playing with the Mediterranean sun on his back.
The winter, well, he is. His footwork is just second to none. I mean, all these players have unbelievable. I copied Jimmy Connors. My coach always told me, Jimmy Connors, watch Jimmy Connors' footwork. And we used to sit there and watch him as I was growing up. And during the smaller tournaments, just starting to get into the Grand Slam champ tournaments and these tournaments around the world, we'd sit there and watch Jimmy Connors, just watch his footwork, warming up, practicing.
Let's just ask our guests, who, if you had to pick 2 players from Group A, 2 players from Group B, who do you think are going to go through the semi-finals? Who are you going to take? Let's go to Mike first, shall we?
I would say Borg and Nadal for me.
Why?
Well, firstly, I'm thinking about Supernatural with Borg and about this heartbeat thing, which is a question I want to ask everybody here.
Yeah, it's a lot of rubbish.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It's hard. He's was resting pulse rate of what, 60, something like that? My resting pulse rate 60. I'm not superhuman. The resting heart rate should be really low anyway. But having said that, I'm not denying he's unbelievable. The heart rate thing it's really not here nor there. But what he is an unbelievable athlete, one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. And we talked about this week, but he was never tired. He was incredibly fast. He used to play pre-Wimbledon. He used to play a 5-set practice match every single day, and that's not having a day off and then having a rest. So he'd be playing the equivalent of 10 5-set matches in a row to get himself ready for Wimbledon. Now the players play one 5-set match. They need a day off, and they go, I played 2 5s. Oh, I'm tired. Well, Borg used to play 10 in a row before he played Wimbledon, because he didn't play the lead-up tournament. Unbelievable athlete, incredibly fast. Even at the age of 42, the Swedish Olympic Association got him on a treadmill and said, can we do a max VO2? And if you've ever done a max VO2, it's one of the most horrible things you can ever do. It's sort of a standard.
One a week.
A standard. They put you on a treadmill. They stick an oxygen mask so they can test how much oxygen you're sucking in. They can test your heart rate, all that sort of stuff. It's basically a fitness thing, and they put you on a treadmill, put you uphill, and they make you run until your heart rate levels off. That means you're dead, and you basically can't go much more than 30 seconds after that. And they test you, see how much fitness you need to do, and et cetera, et cetera. It's a sort of standard test that all athletes have. And they said, look, we know you're 42 or 45, whatever the age was. He was in his 40s, and they said, what we're going to do is we're going to put it on really high speed. We're going to run you at about 14 kilometres an hour, which is a stride, a serious stride out, 13 or 14 kilometres an hour, and we'll just go as long as you can. Anyway, 2 hours later, they said, you can stop. 2 hours later. And he said, oh, I just kept running. They said, oh, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. Yeah. He can stop now. He's just running away. He doesn't do any training. I said, Borgie, what do you do to train? He says, nothing. I don't really do anything. He's just one of those natural athletes. So he is an absolute superstar athlete. I don't think people don't understand how incredible he was.
Mike is taking Borg and Nadal from Group A. Group B, Liz, what are your thoughts on Group B?
Oh, Group B. Gosh, we've been discussing Group A. So.
Oh, you can do A. You can do A as well if you're thinking about it. What do you think?
Oh, for Group A, I would say Sampras, because I think his serve would be phenomenal, and that would, he's super. And the name like Pistol Pete, you can't go wrong. And I think McEnroe. I've seen McEnroe play indoor at the Royal Albert Hall, and like for the reasons you said, indoor player. I think he's amazing. I think they're all brilliant, actually. So I think it's really difficult to say, but. So if you're asking me, I'd say Sampras and McEnroe.
Okay.
I agree with you, Liz. I agree with you. Now let's go over to Richard and get Richard's thoughts on Group B.
So we've got two different, completely different. Oh, Group B. You ready for Group B, Richard, or you want to go Group A for the moment?
I'll go on Group B. I'm going to go with Federer and Connors. I think that's the more competitive of the groups. But I think those two have the edges because of the surface, as you mentioned. Connors because of the footwork, but Federer because of the strategy, the positioning, and his versatility on all surfaces.
So Federer and Connors, okay.
It's interesting. Yeah. What is interesting here, we've got 8 great players. We haven't got the greatest player in the world at the moment. Does Djokovic?
Me? Oh, Djokovic.
Should Djokovic be in here?
He well could be. Yeah, I mean, you know, I suppose we can't put everybody in there.
No.
And you know, we got there's certainly some greats there. And, yeah, I mean, Djokovic could well and truly be in there. There's no doubts about it. Agassi could be in there. I mean, there's you know, there's another few players.
Let's start making some decisions. So I'll go along with Group A. I'll go along with Liz. I'll say Sampras and McEnroe. Mike, you say Borg and Nadal, don't you, from Group A? Richard, who do you say from Group A?
I'm going to go with also Sampras and McEnroe.
Right, that's three of us, Sampras and McEnroe. Kashi?
Sorry, my real estate agent's just calling me. Do you mind if I take this? I'm just moving into a flat. I won't take it. Gee, this is a real tough one. Slow indoor hard court. I'll deduct people bit by bit. I think I'm going to go for Borg and Sampras. And Rafa hasn't proven himself as an indoor slow hard court player.
Well, before you go any further, Sampras gets everyone's vote, so he's into the semis.
There you go. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I've played John enough times on slow hard court to know he's a terrific player, but slow hard court probably isn't his best surface, and it's certainly not Nadal's best surface. I think if it was fast hard court, it's definitely McEnroe would be in there, no doubts. But it's slow hard court. Rafa, as great a player is, hasn't really proven himself for me in a slow indoor court.
Indoor wherever.
I'm going to go for Borg. I think Borg. I'd say who would win out of Borg and McEnroe slow indoors? I'd say Borg. There's McEnroe's. We're talking about wooden rackets. He's not going to have the power. Borg's going to pass him all the time. Topspin lob him, pass him. As I said, it was fast indoors, or 10 years ago, or even back in that era, I'd have McEnroe. But in this case, on this surface, I'm going to go for Borgie.
He's the man that knows. He's the man that's been out there on the court. So in one semi-final, we got Pete Sampras.
Well, I played three. Actually, I played them all. I played all these guys.
And we got Borg.
I played Nadal on clay, which is not fun when he was a junior.
Group B. Mike, we haven't had your thoughts on Group B. What do you think on Group B?
I'm going to go with Federer and Connors on that one, if that's all right.
Why? What's your reasoning there?
Well, I was looking through all the records and career titles for Connors, and I thought that was just absolutely outstanding. And Federer, maybe just a total all-rounder and just a great guy. You know, gut reaction on that one.
Yeah.
You know, how much of it is down to the fact that Laver almost comes from another era? You look at the footage now and you watch Rod Laver winning the 69 Grand Slam or even the 62 Grand Slam, and the ball looks to be moving so slow, doesn't it? There doesn't seem to be the physicality that there is in the game now. Does that come into your thinking, Mike?
Yes, it does. I looked at Laver I've got here at 63 to 1976, and I was just looking at the whole wooden racket thing over and over, and this recurring discussion of where we get an answer, which we never will we? Because we can't turn the clock back. But I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's a great. I mean, we are sort of having, and a healthy conversation about this, but you've also got to remember that back in '62 when Laver won his first Grand Slam, that he wasn't the best player in the world. The best players in the world had gone professional, so he was sort of almost a young guy who came through, won the Grand Slam, and then earned the right to become a professional. You had to earn your right to become a professional in those days. The professionals were, well, they were sort of outlawed. They weren't regarded. They weren't welcomed to private clubs or associations like Wimbledon or LTA and other parts around the world, but they were the best players in the world. They were people that were selling out stadiums, 10,000 seat stadiums, all around the world, all around America. They'd go around, they'd play at Wembley, they'd play these titles here. Also, you've got to remember that Laver has won, I mean, it's a couple of years ago this was done, and Federer's gathered a few more titles, but Laver, as far as tournament wins, has won about almost a third more than anybody else as far as official tournament wins. And there were different types of tournaments then, but we call them official tournaments. About a third more than anybody else in the game. That is quite something. That's quite something. Lendl, I think, is number 2 at 100 and something wins, and Laver is 140 or something. Is that a third? I can't know. I failed math at school. Anyway, you get my point. So he's one, and this is on all surfaces, all courts. Talking about indoors. Talking about, as I said, the boards. They played on all sorts of different things. They put out a canvas. They used to pull a canvas tight. Did all sorts of stuff back in those days. They were the best players in the world, but he had to earn his right. So when he came back after that, in '69, he was the top player in the world after having 5-6 years of playing professional tennis with the best players in the world. So
Mike, your vote goes to Federer and Connors going through the semi-final. Is that correct? Hello, Mike?
Yes, sorry, I lost you. What was the question?
You are saying Federer and Connors going through to the semis.
That is correct.
Who tops the group out of Federer or Connors?
I'm going to go with Connors.
You're going to go Connors?
Yeah.
Okay. I tell you what, I agree with you in those two players, but I'm going to go Federer topping the group. Liz, what do you say?
Federer, definitely. I think, excuse me, I think he's just phenomenal, full stop. For lots of reasons, his age now, I just think the way he plays, the way he moves, the fact he hardly ever seems to sweat when he's on court. He's so graceful. Oh, incredible. But I would actually also go for Lendl. I'd go for Federer and Lendl. Lendl because I think... I remember watching Connors lots and lots. I don't remember watching Laver, so it's difficult other than what Pat has just said about Laver, and obviously he's amazing. But I'd say Lendl, I think as a tactician, I think he would be very clever. I think he's proved it as a coach when he was a coach for Murray. He's just very a clever chap, a brilliant all-round player, and incredibly competitive as they all are. But so yeah, my vote would be Federer and Lendl.
Federer winning the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how about you, Richard?
I think Federer would win the group. Connors second. Federer just because he would win his sets more handily than Connors. I think Connors' sets would be fairly close.
I agree with you. Okay, so it's pretty clear. It's
Federer Connors, and
Federer
Lendl.
Federer Lendl. Federer without a doubt.
So Federer goes through.
It's just a massive advantage for him to be playing on a surface that really none of these players have ever played on before. None of them. Well, I mean, Nadal has, but none of the other guys have played on before. I've seen Lendl and Connors play enough indoors. I've seen them play many times. I've played against them on a slow indoor hard courts. I've seen that, and I've seen Lendl smash him 6-love, 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 6-1 more than once. Lendl overpowers Jimmy on a slow hard court. So Lendl would go through against Laver. So I drop Jimmy off, drop Jimmy in a faster hard court, different ball game altogether. Slow, low bouncing, fast hard courts. I would pick Jimmy, but this is a slow hard court. Lendl would beat that match. Wait a minute.
No, we've got time factors here.
He beat
I didn't say Lendl would go through. I said Lendl and Laver. And Rod Laver, one of the greatest players of all time, would beat them all. Well, maybe not Federer, but anyway, he's in the next group. Laver. Absolutely Rod Laver.
Well, so...
Sorry. Rod Laver. Man, this guy's won 2 Grand Slams. Stick him there. And he's Australian.
We have to defer to a Wimbledon champion. I would disagree there, and I think Mike, Liz, and Richard.
I've played all these guys. I played all of them. I played Rod Laver when he was 20, when I was 3, and he was 43, and I won a point. So.
Okay, well, we're moving on. We're now through to the semi-finals. The pressure's really on.
I've got to have a left-hander in there.
So
have a left-hander.
We got Pete Sampras versus Rod Laver. Now, according to Pat Cash, Rod Laver could probably go out and win the tournament now, but
he could.
Mike, who's going to win out of Sampras and Laver?
I think, and I'm gonna cheat here a little bit, and I'm gonna try and think what Pat's gonna say. I'm gonna go with Laver.
What? No, what do you think? Don't worry about what I think. We're just having fun here. Don't worry about it. This is about you having fun. I'm always wrong. We're having a bit of fun here. What do you think, honestly?
No, I think the thing is, I'd also agree with some other people on the panel in that I can't remember Labour playing, and that's one of the big regrets. I wish I knew, like Fred Perry and those people, but I don't. I'm the same age as you, Pat. But so that era of like 80s to about 2000, I was really in with it. But to go right back, we just don't have the records, do we, or the video?
Yeah, no, it's hard to visualise what Labour was like. I did get a chance to hit with him quite a bit and see some of his old footage. It's absolutely lightning around the court. I mean, lightning means lightning fast, massive, big backhand, big forehand. The only thing that during his career, he had a little bit of the yips with his serve. He had some bad patches with his serve, but that's why I had to throw a lefty in there. But with his left-handed, it was much like a Nadal. Well, Nadal necessarily doesn't. He can certainly crank the serve up hard, but he doesn't always need to because he's got that left-hander. He can throw the ball out wide there. And where does he throw? Where does Nadal consistently go out? To Roger Federer's backhand, time and time again, opens the court up, and then is able to attack Federer's backhand. So we've got Labour in there, who's pretty much an old-fashioned Nadal, but so that's why I had to throw Rocket in there. I don't think Federer would like to play Rod Laver.
So who's going to win that semi-final then? Sampras or Laver?
And
why?
Can I go to the other one?
No. First things first.
Oh, can I go? No, we haven't heard the other guys. What do they think? Liz might change my mind.
Richard and Liz. Let's have Liz first. What do you think? Sampras versus Rod Laver. Both in their peak, both in their prime, on a slow indoor hard court. Liz.
Laver. Because I think, from what, again, I didn't see Laver. I'm more or less the same age as you. You're a bit younger than me, Pat, just a bit. But I think that from what you said, the movement around all-rounder, I think he'd edge it. I think I'll go for Rod Laver over Sampras.
For the Rocket. Richard?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Laver also, especially if it's 2 out of 3 because of his ground strokes and also his movement. Sampras to me is more of a power player. Where at 5, best out of 5, I go with Sampras though.
Oh.
Who am I to argue?
Got Laver, and Laver.
You
Laver? What are you going on?
Well, I happen to think that Sampras is a phenomenal player who had probably the best serve, first and second serve that the game's ever seen. But I'm just wondering if the court is that slow, whether Pete would really bring out his A game to play. He never really did it on clay. I'm not saying this is a clay court, but slow indoor hard. I would probably go for Laver at his peak out of those two.
I'm going to go for Sampras. He would just overpower him. He would. He's got the powerful racket, powerful serve. I don't think Rocket would. Again, faster courts might be slightly different, but I just don't think, as I said, Rocket at a certain stage of his career had the yips with his serve, and I think that serve would sit there enough that Sampras would be able to really get onto it. And we're talking about a guy with a wooden racket. We're talking about a guy with a modern string racket.
No, we're talking about Laver playing with the same.
No, we didn't have that criteria, did we? Beginning of this, did we say that? Well, anyway, look, we're having a bit of fun here. It doesn't really matter. It's not. This is the conversation we go. We could change the whole. Actually, we just change the whole thing around. Is it modern strings? Does Laver play with modern strings and modern racket? And we can change it all around. Actually,
can we have that?
We get Laver
play with up.
We're just making the rules up as we go. To be clear,
can I get a ruling on this?
Perfectly honest, aren't we, guys?
Well, yeah, we can get Laver with up-to-date technology.
Is that right? Oh, that might change a lot of things then. I know, with modern technology, Rocket Rod Laver had more topspin than anybody in that era, and that's really confused me now.
And you're 4-1 down, Cashy. So.
Oh, I outvoted. All right, chuck Laver on there. I don't have no problems with Laver.
Rodney George Laver.
I have no problems with Laver there.
Okay, now this one's tricky as well. Bjorn Borg versus Roger Federer.
Well, yeah, Bjorn Borg was the man who really invented heavy topspin. He was unstoppable. He talked about how fit he's been. He got more balls back than anybody. He had more topspin. He was the Iceman. He he really set the benchmark for being in control under pressure, never getting upset. He had everything, Borg. His volleys were. He's very much a modern player, Bjorn Borg. I mean, we've seen all these players come through because of Bjorn Borg. I mean, there's no Mats Wilander without Borg. There's none of these double-handed backhands without Borg. Well, Chris Evert and Jimmy Connors. They're the three that they started this whole thing, what we're seeing now. And Borg was really the original guy. That double-handed backhand. Having played Borg, I never played him in his career. He just retired when I came on, but I was actually playing the junior Wimbledon semi-finals, and I heard this roar from the centre court when Connors was up 2-0. Borg came back 2-all and won that match, and there was so much noise I couldn't concentrate. We were both playing the juniors, and we were busy looking up at the big clock there, the big scoreboard that was in the centre court. After every roar, we'd better serve, and we'd stop and we'd look up the score, and we couldn't help but be distracted by the excitement. But I played Borg several times in the Legends events, and he just had the ability to be able to pass somehow. I mean, just on the edge of his racket, the ball used to get past me all the time, and it lobs and everything. Didn't volley that great, but you don't have to volley that well on an indoor slow hard course.
Just very quickly, because we're running out of time.
Are we?
Just quickly go through Richard first. Quickly, who's going to win out of Federer Borg?
I'm going to go with Federer because of the surface. Because Borg, to me, is much better on natural surfaces. This being artificial, I think, would favor Federer.
So you say Federer. Liz?
Federer. Two of the most amazing players ever, I think, in Federer and Borg, but I'll go for Federer.
Mike?
I think it would go to a tie break. They're both calm characters, but after about 3 days of playing, I think Federer would edge it.
I will go along with that. I will say Federer would just edge Bjorn Borg because Federer's record on hard courts is better than Borg's.
Yep, I agree. Federer.
So there we go. So the final is, the all-time final is...
Oh, what a final that would be, huh?
Rod Laver versus Roger Federer. I've seen Roger Federer cry on Rod Laver's shoulder. So have you at the Australian Open.
That's right. Yeah, Rocket. He's a great man, and when you meet him and you say hello to him, he's such a humble man. He really is. He's such a humble. Yeah, you sit and have a conversation with him, and Ken Rosewall's the other one. They're both similar ages, but they're just so humble. And you talk about the players, and they go, these guys are so much better than we are, and they're so humble. I'm just really happy. I can't believe what a great career that I had, and they were just very happy to actually be at the tournaments. And I got invited. I'm really happy to be invited to Wimbledon or whatever. You think, you're Rod Laver, you're Ken Rose, are you kidding me? So they're fantastic people to just have a little chit chat with. But I think if you asked Rod Laver, he'd be very honoured to actually be in the final, or even be picked. He'd say, "Oh no, I shouldn't be with these guys. They're too good." He's that sort of guy.
Now it's decision time. It's decision time for the first ever Barclays Google Hangout with Premier Awards all-time greatest player. It's down to Laver versus Federer. Mike, who are you going to take?
Oh man, come to me in a minute.
We can go somewhere else.
Yeah, come back to me.
You have a lie down for a minute.
Yeah.
We'll go over to Liz.
Liz can lie down. She's in a bedroom. She can just lie down.
Yeah. Okay.
How many pillows do you have? You're a girl. How many pillows do you have on your bed? 35.
20. But I'm going to go for Federer. I just think everything all round. He's just got drop shots and lobs, and it's just phenomenal. I can only go by what Pat's been saying about Laver because I don't remember him playing. I haven't seen any footage, so I can't say. So it's incredibly difficult. I think they're both obviously amazing. But I've got to go for Federer.
It is really hard, tantamount to impossible, talking across eras because we are really shooting in the dark here. But Richard, what would you say?
Okay, well, I'm also very honored to be asked the top player of all time, but I'm going to vote with nostalgia and predict that Rod Laver won't have the yips. He'll be the clutch player, and he'll win in 3 sets.
Rod Laver in 3 sets?
Correct.
Interesting.
They're a very close match.
Mike, have you recovered yet? Have you got composure back? Can you
Yeah,
talk to
I
us?
have. I'm struggling with it though, but I'm going to go with. God, do you know what? My head says Federer, and my heart keeps saying Laver. Is that a good enough answer?
Yeah, fair enough. You can sit on the fence. Why not? We're all just
Well,
all
I'll tell
having
you
fun
what,
here.
I'll
You know
tell
what?
you what-
It's actually not going to happen this match, so we can just have a bit of fun with it and say
Well, I'll
it's
tell you
okay.
what-
You can relax.
I'll tell you what I'd say, bearing in mind that Rod Laver is playing with those strings, playing with modern rackets, and his age is irrelevant. I would just say that given the fact that Laver has done twice what nobody else has done and won the Grand Slam, I'm going to go Rod Laver. Matt?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a bit of it's just an awesome. Wouldn't it be incredible if they could actually get these two together with the modern strings? Now that is an interesting. For the modern strings,
Imagine that great big left hand,
Yeah.
that arm, with putting topspin on.
you're basically saying with the modern strings, we've got Rafa Nadal who can volley and has got a serious slice backhand. You got the same left-handed serve out to Federer's backhand. You got the same topspin. You got the same power, and he can come in and he can volley better than Nadal.
So who's going to win?
I think Federer will win. I think Federer will win because I don't really know why. I really don't know. I don't know why. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking the slower hard courts make the difference, and Rocket doesn't quite have the power of Nadal, because Nadal's much bigger. Rocket's only 5'9", and I think that would make the difference. I think that would make the difference, but I probably have to say with Mike, it would go all the way down to the wire, and I think probably Federer, a great advantage having played on this sort of court, modern strings, modern rackets. Though we decided that Laver would have those strings and would be very interesting.
We didn't decide. The powers that be decided.
Well, we evened
Barclays,
it up a little bit to make it a little fair. But I think the advantage, the fact that he could play on this court. He's played on this court before. Rocket played almost exclusively on faster indoor courts, and that would have to help the advantage that serve. Only 5'9", couldn't quite get enough of that. Let's say Nadal slice out to the Federer backhand. I think Roger would get onto that and just pip him in the end. But it would be in faster hard courts. Might be faster indoor courts. Might be a different story altogether. Maybe that's a conversation.
That's for the next big tour.
We might have faster court next year. We'll have the same conversation. Say actually the court's faster this year. It's quite slow this year, and it certainly suits.
But for the time being, the first ever Barclays Google Hangout with Premier Rewards. Hashtag all-time Masters champion is Roger Federer. Can I just say thank you very much? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm about to rip that off.
And thank you for everyone else that's watching. And next time, let's hope you can come on and give us your tennis views. I'd like to say thank you to Pat Cash.
Thank you, Barry Flatman,
It's been a pleasure.
tennis correspondent of the Sunday Times.
By the Sunday Times.
Actually, I'll do an article. Let's do an article this weekend.
Shall we?
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay.
We're going to do a column about Andy Murray. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.